So a quick, easy way to test if you've blown a thermal fuse, you'll know because you'll be plugged into the wall and this does nothing, right? There's no reaction. So the way to test that is take a multimeter and just set it between your positive and negative terminals. And what's going to happen is if you've blown the thermal fuse, this is going to read either 0L, like basically nothing, right? So like this, or it's going to have like 6 mega ohm. When the machine's working correctly, it's going to be 1.2 kilo ohm, right? Give or take. So this is a quick way to test before you go tearing the machine apart. So if your screen, you're plugged into the wall, but your screen is blank like this guy, nothing's going to work because it's not plugged in. Very likely your thermal fuse is blown. So this is what a thermal fuse looks like. And it lives on this wire here. So this end of the wire is on a spade connector connected to your board. And then this is pigtailed into your main terminal back here. This little thermal fuse, and notice the little triangle is pointed to the board, lives inside of that little fiberglass wrap right there. This little sleeve is compression fit over the thermal fuse, and it was stuck enough that I actually pulled the crimp out. So it's held in place by this triangular security bit. I have a set of them, wherever this is, Amazon special. These have worked well enough. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. They work fine, but if something's set high torque, they're not like a high-end steel, so they will strip. I've had one item ever have a security bit that was actually torqued down really hard. So do be aware of that. I don't know if there's a better brand, but they seem, for everything I've done, they've been fine. So we're going to try threading this through again, see if loosening it up made it possible to get, let's see, so right here.
What you can do if you keep playing.
Gosh, that is just really not wanting to go through.
Torture, that's not very nice.
So we can get that a little bit looser. And bring that. All right, let's see how that fares. One other mistake I made is I actually cut the heat shrink off because I didn't realize that I had good solid contact for the multimeter. I'm not sure if I can show it on the camera well, but there's essentially some spades inside there, and there's like legs that come out from the spade, So you will get good multimeter contact. You don't have to cut the heat shrink off. All right, now this was a crimp cap. I don't have any of those, so I'm just using run-of-the-mill electrical cap. So we're gonna wire tie that back together. This was zip tied right here. We'll set this back to his post. And this was all zip tied together right here as well to prevent this from being able to escape. All right, there's there. And I'm just gonna bundle this whole group right here. There. Snip and snip. So yeah, just one more time. And actually, we might as well check it while we're at it. And we'll set the other end. Let's see, that was negative 1.2 kilo ohm. Actually, there we go. No, we're good. 0.3 ohms. So I've got continuity hot to hot, which I didn't before. And that's how you test if this was the issue. So now we have this put back together. I do need to tighten this back down. So grab it and tighten this here. Just snugged up nicely. And then, let's see here. Now I need to remember how it all goes back together. So I believe these three set here. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so there are a ton of these little screws. And a word of caution, good bits of the sheet metal will gouge things. I probably shouldn't be doing this on the table. Get one of her started over here. And you don't need to take the back plate off the way I did to test this. I did not know where the thermal fuse was. Actually, no, you do. To test it, you don't. But to replace the thermal fuse, you do. And it's just these bottom three screws as far as fully detaching the back plate. Oh, that one is not going well. Okay. So now, just bring the camera in close. So you can just barely see there's a silvery bit right on the edge of the positive terminal. And you can see there it says AC negative. There's AC, or load. It's AC load, ACL. And so that's where the test would go. And before I forget, the original OEM is AUPO BF113. So it's 113C thermal fuse. I ended up replacing it with 115 degree C thermal fuses. This is your thermal probe here. And over here is going to be the forward sensor. Now I need to put the forward sensor back onto the front unit. You have to bear with me. So that is going to get plugged in there. You can see there's some posts. And then they'll be screwed in from the back. So you'll have to just bear with me while I get that done. And I believe there's just 2 screws, 3 screws. So we've got one here. And this is one of the things that when I was trying to figure this out, I was trying to pull this off from the front and you absolutely can't because it's screwed in. And that feels like it strips really easy, so don't give it much. Nothing there. Go into the center. Or the right side, rather. And for some reason, we got 2 screws on the right, 1 on the left. Which is a shame, because that one on the left feels like it might have stripped a little bit with hardly any pressure. Okay. So now that it's back together, you can see 1 there, 2 over there, and
I'm shaking it out. I'm gonna shake it out.
I'm going to make sure to guide this through this little notch here. So, positively don't forget, because I just had to take the whole thing apart, plug your front display back in. Once you get that cage on, thank you. Once you get the cage on, make sure your thermocouple and your front display are plugged back in. All right. So the front stainless skin wraps around here so it slips over like a glove. And throughout all the bottom, it's also wrapped. Then in the back, it actually nests under so you can see one of those undone holes. So there's 20 or 25 screws you gotta undo to get to the controls, which is a little unfortunate, but that's what it is. The root cause, I suspect, why my thermal fuse went out is I had some jars behind here, and that thermal fuse is sitting right there. And so I probably had a jar sitting, basically like this. There's the airflow across the whole unit, but right where that thermal fuse wasn't enough radiant. Like it couldn't radiate the heat off because it's sitting right under a heating element. And so that burned it out. Hopefully with this 2 degrees warmer thermal fuse, it won't be quite so finicky. But that was a lesson learned of keep these units a good 6 inches away from everything, especially where that little triangular screw is. Otherwise, you've got a repair on your hands. All right, and let's get the other corner brace. So I've skewered the top corner, so you can see. So there's the peg is there on the top corner. Leverage the magnets to hold it. And I'm just going to rotate the whole unit on the side. And while it's over sideways, we'll go ahead and get it pinned with one of the screws. Maybe. finally, moment of truth. We're going to plug it back in. And we are good to go. There it is.